Emus storm the kitchen. Ostriches join in, and the god of the kitchen is dropping saltines on innocent dust particle civilians while peppering them to death.
Uh-huh.
I am Star Trek, this is Black Moonlight, I am Isaac, she is Casey, and this is World Explorers. 3, 2, 1, go! Hello, everybody! We are gonna make a stupid world once again!
No. That's not what we're doing.
Yes!
No, we're not making a...
Yes!
No, we're making that said stupid world make sense. It is the sequel to last week. So if you haven't watched last week, I would recommend it. I know it might be a struggle to get through. I know you might lose some brain cells. But I still would recommend it so you're not... you're no matter how you do it, you're going to be confused. But at least you'll be confused with us instead of just confused in your own little world.
Yeah, it's, in short, what the previous world was that we built last week was, chaos?
Eclair-filled, cream-filled, filling chaos.
Yeah, it was like an eclair in a toaster that people were living on, and an emu would occasionally run up to it and start eating off of the eclair, and the houses were made of tennis balls and sheep.
Yeah.
Exploding sheep.
No, they didn't explode, they set on fire randomly. At least get your random facts straight.
They're random, they're kind of hard to keep straight.
I can do it just fine, and I'm not even the one who created it. But I do have a premise, like a baseline of what this world was. When you first started it, this was where I thought we were going with it before I realized that this was the anniversary of the Narwhal world, and that was not going to be where we were going to go with it. I like the idea of the chef god. So this guy who's god of the kitchen, who is creating planets out of food, which then little life forms live on. Because I don't know why that appeals to me. Probably because if you think about it, it's true. When you cook food, you get like microorganisms living on your food. I know it's gross to think about, but this is how cheese is made.
Yeah, there's a lot of foods out there that you're better off just to eat them and not know how they were made.
Exactly. So this is a premise that exists. We are just switching it up in the fact that these things living on these foods have human intelligence, level intelligence.
Think for 5 seconds where milk comes from.
It's not a Kieran.
No, but it's like the belly juices of a cow. A disgusting cow. Cows smell horrible.
But their milk tastes good.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So that is where I think we'll go with this world, and we'll see about like incorporating the many details you had and like adjusting them to fit. And I think
so many of these details I think are going to need to be scrapped. I don't know how we can make
we're scrapping the toaster. The toaster dies. Here and now.
So...
I refuse to work with the toaster. This is my contract. It says no toaster or I walk.
Okay.
Now, something that I think we could work. I want to talk about the sheep houses.
What? How are you gonna turn that into a functioning world?
That's why I think we need to talk about it.
Okay. So they're made of the houses are made of tennis balls and sheep.
Yeah. So obviously, I don't think that's gonna work. But we do need to talk about housing for these little guys. Our highly intelligent micro beings living on food.
So they use the sheep's wool to make tents?
Tents might be good. I'm trying to think like what I want the sheep to be involved. So I guess we have to think about like how animals and people on food, living on food, would work in general. If we want like a Earth-like society on food.
I'm gonna say they eat the food below their feet.
That could be a thing.
And maybe whatever food they live on is the nutrients they need to survive.
Yeah.
But if they go to a different food, like you leave the eclair and you go on to a donut, you might not have the same nutrients you need
I think
there.
that's a bad example considering donuts and eclairs are
I
practically the
know,
same
but
thing.
that's what came into my mind. So
Okay.
you go from the eclair to the Twinkie.
Those are still very similar items. If you go,
Cinnamon rolls.
why are you going baked goods? I was thinking if you go from a eclair to a broccoli, you're screwed. Or like a soup. How would someone live on a soup?
How would you live with? Are there like ferries and boats and stuff
That's probably
swimming
it. It's like
around
living
made
in
out of celery?
Venice. And then
Like made out of a giant piece of celery
you could
floating
have
in the
entire
soup?
societies on a giant piece of celery. Because think about a celery in proportion is like the size of Australia.
Yeah, but you also got to keep in mind, like, this is a very long, narrow, moving boat country thing. Like, if you want to
But
get from
you're
point A to point B, you have to cut through, like, the entire country.
people just don't do it. Just like in the olden days, people didn't go from America to Great Britain.
Okay, so is it controllable? Like, does it just float around randomly, or are
I
there, like,
assume
little
it floats
oars?
around randomly. You don't move think, Isaac. Think about it in Earth terms. In Earth, our continents are moving right now. It's so slow we don't feel it and don't experience it. There, it's kind of the same thing except it's faster, and you see things. I don't know. I don't know how it would work. I'm not tiny. I don't understand the world through the eyes of a tiny being. I imagine it's very different. Like, it's all about perspective. And in this case, we're talking microscopic. Maybe you don't, or ant size even? No, it'd
Maybe,
have to be smaller than
maybe
an ant.
it's smaller than an ant, but I don't
Yeah.
think it's quite microscopic.
Yeah. Like dust particles. Possibly.
Yeah, maybe something more like that.
You're the size of dust. Which means that I guess a celery would be closer to like the size of Maryland than Australia.
Probably.
But you get the idea. Although I'm now on board for a soup world, just because they'd like live on the floating vegetables and stuff, and they're
Okay,
always
so
in fear of drownage and like the water eroding away their land, their land growing too soggy and sinking.
so what about what if the god of the kitchen is pouring in some saltines into his soup, and these civilizations are like island hopping between the saltines, trying in and hoping in vain to find a stable a continent that they can all move on to, which would be something like celery.
Yeah, probably wouldn't surprise me. I mean, okay. One question I think we have to ask ourselves is the chef aware of what he's doing?
I say yes.
Okay. So he's aware of the mini dust life, building
Yes.
houses and societies and stuff. I guess you'd see it. I'd imagine it happened like this. Like he used to not notice it, but one day he was in the middle of a meal, which is scarring to think about now. And then something like pulled him away, and then he came back from his meal, or like he left it in a corner for like a week and forgot about it, and it started to smell, and he came over to go like clean it up and put it away, and suddenly he saw like entire civilizations forming. Because they probably move a lot faster than we do, like advancing in technology,
Yeah.
just because they don't have as much time. Like whole civilizations, skyscrapers, and bridges, and some of them are even thinking about leaving the plate of food, and he'd be like, "Oh, this is a thing," and then he'd
Okay,
experiment.
so you gave me an idea for the emus.
Yeah.
So the thing that initially pulls him away is an emu causing mayhem, and so he has to go outside and maybe shoo away the emus or something. And then he forgets about his food,
I thought
and
is
it gets left there. And so now he's got this problem where emus are always trying to run in and eat his food.
I was
and
thinking
they
he'd be an emu
terrorize.
farmer, or he
Yeah,
just
could
lives
be
in
an emu
Australia.
farmer. But
And
what if
has
he
an
kills
emu
the emus, chops them up, and then sticks them in the soup?
life
And then the
will form
emus
off
come
the
and
emu.
eat the soup.
That's cannibalism.
Yes.
You are too excited about cannibalism for your own good. I am concerned about you. beyond cannibalism, but the idea that he's an emu farmer would incorporate it. And I guess if he's done with the world, like he's bored of it or something, it might be something he does is he feeds it to the emus. Or emus like get in, like he's a very small emu farmer and it's attached to his house and stuff. But I don't know.
So you have to be entertaining the god of the kitchen, or he feeds you to the emus.
Yes. It's a brutal.
This just got a lot darker.
It's a brutal universe they live in.
Yeah, it's like maybe this is why he pours in the saltines, is to watch them struggle to survive.
This guy is not nice, is what I think we're leaning towards.
So he's not much different than the original God of the Kitchen.
Well, I didn't want him to be too different. Like, the God of the Kitchen was the one part of this whole thing, of that whole, like, randomness that I felt like I could latch onto and be okay. That and the idea of people living on food didn't seem too far-fetched to me. Especially if you consider, like, density weight. So a big thing in the random world was the idea of sinking into the chocolate. But if you're as small as these little dust particles are, you don't weigh enough to sink into the chocolate. So you don't have anything to worry about.
Okay, so what about the tennis ball houses? Like, we have the sheep parts of the houses, but we didn't cover the tennis balls.
Okay, tennis balls might be like the toasters, and they just don't exist anymore.
Oh, you just gotta get rid of the tennis balls. Okay, so what about
anything
the ostriches?
that starts with T that you made just dies. Ostriches? There were ostriches involved?
Yes, they came in. They chased out the emus. It was your only hope for survival.
Okay. I guess an ostrich farm lives nearby, and I don't know. If anything, I think they join in with the emus. And they're just equally
So he's an ostrich and emu. Maybe he's an emu farmer, and the ostriches are like the wild versions of emus, and then they randomly storm in, and they just cause so much chaos.
Okay, can we reverse it though? Like, he's an ostrich farmer, and then the emus come in and cause chaos, because emus are more... Like, ostrich farming is a legitimate thing. I think emu farming is too, but it's not as popular.
Okay, yeah, we can reverse them.
Yeah, I think it makes more sense. And that's the point of this, is to make it make sense.
Maybe the ostriches are the more friendly ones that won't get the food unless they're told they're allowed to eat it. Yeah. And the emus are the ones that will just eat. Yeah, they don't care. They're not trained. Or maybe they set a bad influence for the ostriches, and the ostriches start eating the food. And then a big fight breaks out as an emu and an ostrich are going for the same food. And as they flap their wings and fight each other, they knock over so many plates of food and spill the chocolate milk that an entire civilization is living in. And it spills all over the floor, and then it gets stepped on.
This sounds morbid. There's a lot of life being lost here. A lot of life. Also, the idea of intelligent life living in chocolate milk. Are there fish-like intelligent life, I'm assuming?
I'm gonna say yes.
That are building, like, little aquatic things. So here's the thing that we have to keep in mind with this world, is that their building supplies and, like, things for, like, building civilization have to come from animals. They don't get plants. Things aren't going to grow in the food. I guess maybe except mold. I guess they can use mold. I know it's gross, but, you know, you use what you gotta. But for the most part, it's just life forms are springing off of these things, and that's what they get to use, is the life forms. And the food itself. Whatever food you have, you can build using that. Otherwise, you don't get things like trees and stone and wood. That's just not a or tennis balls. That's just not a thing. But like sheep and wool and I don't know, hardening chocolate to make sculptures and stuff if you live on a clay and things. Like, that's possible. That's doable.
Okay. So what else can we add into this world? Or take from the original world? What else did we have?
We focus on the original. I'm trying to even remember. It was just a lot.
It was so much chaos. So the sheet burst into flames because of the toaster heat, but I guess that just completely gets removed because there's no toaster.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure setting worlds on fire is something that this demented chef god likes doing occasionally.
Yeah, there are some forms of cooking where you can set a meal on fire.
Yeah. And it's part of the process. Also, I'm trying to think, like, after he discovers these civilizations, is this chef the type of person who would still eat them?
I think so if he's not entertained.
Or does he feed it to the emus to make him feel slightly better? Like, it's not, at least I'm not the one eating them.
I think he feeds them to the emus and or yeah, at least the ostriches,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
what
he'll eat them himself if he's not entertained.
Yeah.
Like if you are getting too boring on your little stalk of celery, then he'll maybe stir in the food a little bit more. Actually, no, he'll add a bunch of pepper to make everybody sneeze first.
The pepper is. You do realize the pepper is the size of them, right? Like, it's bigger than them. They're not sneezing.
Tiny pepper particles will fly off it. Tell me, when you shake pepper, how many of the pepper flakes actually fly into your nose?
I have no clue.
Because I don't recall having any pepper flakes fly into my nose, so it's probably just little particles that fly into my nose.
Yeah, but those little particles are either like half the size or size of our little particles living on this thing.
But if they're the size of dust specks, you can see them. You can't see the pepper that's flying into your nose that makes you sneeze.
Yeah, but they're still in reference size. These little particles are still... They're a lot bigger to them than they are to us.
It's enough to make them sneeze.
I'm not sure. We are making this world make sense.
Be enough.
No, you lost that. That was your last episode you cut out. But this episode, you can't just declare things. I think what it would do would be like a horrible dust storm, maybe. And maybe it would make them sneeze, but it's a lot bigger than you think, is all I'm saying, is that it's size-wise.
So it's like hail.
Yeah. Or,
hail
I guess,
pepper.
volcanic smoke.
Maybe, so, yeah, maybe something
Plus,
more
you
like that.
still get the kernels, and that's terrifying. Because it's meteors the size of people dropping on you. Although they're very light and they don't impact the food like rocks do to us. Probably because the speed's not as high.
So what happens if one of these civilizations decides to, or one of the people from the civilization decides to leave and go and meet other people on these other civilizations?
There is a in the corner that the chef is unaware of, like behind something. There is a utopia of thriving food people.
Oh, so it's like the hidden world.
Yeah, but you have to be careful because if the chef
could be the
finds
gummy
it,
bear forest.
Yeah, but if the chef finds it, you're all dead.
Okay, so the gummy bear forest is the world. Is the secret world.
Yeah,
or maybe the gummy bear forest is on the kitchen island, hidden somewhere behind the giant pepper shaker. I don't know.
It's gotta be in a place that the chef wouldn't ever look, like a corner of the kitchen or a bathroom or full-blown escape out of the house.
I would say it's in the cubby cabinet, and it's in the very back behind the boxes of tea bags.
Or you know how like cabinets get like little holes? These guys can fit through small holes, like really tiny, tiny holes. Probably the back of that cabinet, you finally make it, there's this small little hole that you go through and you're like inside the wall. And there's this civilization brimming in this guy's kitchen wall.
How do they get food?
They've trained the rats. I don't. Actually, they're now.
How big are rats?
Okay.
Maybe what it is there's a little spot that leads to the outside near the floor or something, where when the emus come in, they make a mess and they drop a bunch of food.
Yeah, I'm sure they have methods, and they maybe at this. I mean, our whole idea with these civilizations is that because they're so small and their lifespans are very short, because food, they're extremely intelligent and quickly fast in developing and technology and stuff. So a couple of civilizations they probably bring enough food to last them a while. They probably learn how to grow food and stuff out of the kitchen wall and stuff, like using mold and things and learning to develop foods and stuff themselves would be my thought. So they'd learn to provide for themselves pretty quickly in this mass civilization.
Monday, you're inventing the light bulb. Wednesday, you're inventing smartphones.
Exactly. And then Tuesday, you're solving world hunger. So it's a good week.
So what else? How about the banana pirates?
Oh yeah, I love the banana pirates. Now the banana pirates I think are special because these are the longest lasting that the chef has not killed. Like he just loves them so much. Like he refreshes their bananas and stuff. They're his pet favorites because they just cause mayhem. And he's never bored by them because they're violent.
Now you gotta keep in mind these bananas are massive. Like
Yeah.
compared to something like the celery,
Yeah.
bananas are it's a pretty good size
Yeah.
area for the pirates to be living on.
Yeah. Now these pirates are different in the sense that they don't develop as quickly as some of the other food ones. They're slower to develop, or they're like stuck in limbo. Like this is they hit this point,
They,
realize that being the way that they are is the only reason that they are surviving, and can have like thriving civilizations without being thrown out. Yeah.
maybe because they're pirates, they don't know how to develop technology, and instead they go around stealing technology from the other developing civilizations. And this is what the God of the Kitchen finds so fascinating and entertaining: is watching them go and raid other civilizations.
Yeah, they're the only ones like actively out destroying, and they're probably stopping people who are trying to escape and to the special world.
Yeah. So all around, he just loves these guys.
They're his favorites. They do.
So do the bananas fly around the island, or what?
I don't know. I feel like what happens is the bananas like their home civilization. Like there's a banana that is just home, and it gets replaced when it gets rotten every now and then without killing any people because he likes them all. But they take little bits of the bananas, and and then they just slide them across the tables.
Yeah, they
and
could like
surfaces.
slice the banana up into little pieces, and then
Like
those
you
are
wouldn't
the
even
little
notice it from the banana because it's so small. Like you wouldn't even tell that they've taken little pieces off, but it slides
Okay.
across the table and stuff, and they get to travel extra fast because bananas are really slick.
banana peel.
Yeah.
Wait,
So,
have you ever stepped on a banana peel in real life?
no.
They're a lot more frictiony than the cartoons make them out to be.
I'd imagine they would be. Something I think we should talk about is the chef in communication with the people. Like, can he talk to them and understand them and stuff?
I'd say no.
Okay. Are the people aware of him? Like, fully aware of this being that takes up the sky?
I think that they don't really know exactly what he is, or at least most don't. Maybe the ones in the hidden civilization do.
Yeah, because they've been.
But the ones like in the soup, all they know is that this giant hand looms over their home and starts sprinkling in saltines every once in a while.
Yeah. And
And then every once in a while, the emus will storm in and start pecking at them.
so there's a lot of ignorance still. Like, these are they develop quickly. They're very smart in that sense, but there's still a ton of ignorance about, like,
Guess
the
what?
bigger
Ooh.
picture.
The story of someone who manages to scale the side of the pot and then sees the entire kitchen and the god of the kitchen and watches him walk around messing with various foods.
Yeah.
It's like that's like you're called to adventure.
Yes, lots of calls, or maybe even the town in the wall. They have a almost like priests going out to go save those of other nations who are unaware of their way to salvation. They send out these like pilgrims to go and tell these newly forming civilizations and to lead back those that do believe. And so
Yeah, I
have, like,
imagine there's a
stories
lot
about-
of doubters who say, "No, this is all the world is this bowl of macaroni."
I'm sure they have their own terminology. Like, I don't even know what the terminology would be for them.
I imagine for the sake of the story, they would call it macaroni.
Yeah, it'd make it easier for the reader, but I think that these people, or maybe they won't.
Ooh.
Like, maybe they use terms like we would use. Like, they call the broth water and stuff like that, even though that's not what we would normally do. But it's
What if-
these people in the wall who know the proper terms because they've learned to understand the chef.
What if the chef, when he walks over and he has in his hand looms over as he pours the broth in, he says broth in a deep, slow voice as it pours in. Uh, oregano.
Oh, so they are, so they can
Salty.
understand the chef. The chef just can't understand them.
Yeah,
Would
and
be
maybe
the
he just
idea.
for some reason likes saying the names of the ingredients he's throwing in.
Or yeah, yeah, that would work too. And then
Emu.
yeah, and then the people on the wall would have a wider variety of dialogue and stuff. They'd know more words and terms from different foods, just because they live in the wall and they hear the chef all the time. So like they
Macaroni.
we
Just
get it.
imagine it's like this massive hand looms over you, and then you hear macaroni.
And then it's terrifying because these giant things come crashing down. But so at what stage of food would these things start developing? Like these people form out of? Does it have to be a fully prepared meal?
What?
Would it have to be a fully prepared meal, or could they start
No, I think it
appearing
can.
while he's cooking the steak?
I think it depends on how long the food is existing for.
Okay.
Like if you are cooking a pot of soup
Yeah.
and it takes you 10 minutes to cook that pot of soup, it also takes 10 minutes to for those little civilizations to start forming.
Yeah.
But you can cook the pot of soup and only include like broth and two vegetables. You still have more to put in, but if you wait 10 minutes, the civilization will still form.
Okay, so it's like a time thing.
Yeah. Now I don't know what the exact time would be, but I just said 10 minutes as an example.
So how would so it doesn't work in the sense like the chef touches it and just some magic stews out of his hands and that's how it
I
happens, or
I
like
think that's
what
the best way to
activates
go
it?
about it.
Yeah.
I think the
So
best way is that the chef is magic.
yeah. So because my thought would be grocery shopping with the chef, because you gotta go grocery shopping. Does he have a case where like he goes about and like picking up different fruits and vegetables and feeling and putting them down, and then these civilizations start forming on them? Or
Maybe
is
the
there
civiliz
a magic
I think when
associated
he
with the
starts
kitchen?
throwing them in, maybe his kitchen utensils and stove and everything, maybe those are magic,
So it's the
and those
kitchen
would
that's
imbue the
magic.
food. Like, for example, he'll have a magic stove. When he turns up the heat, civilizations start forming.
Mm.
When he starts stirring with his magic ladle or magic spoon, a civilization could form.
So he has to use a
Uh,
utensil or something else. He needs a conduit for his magic. So
yeah,
it's
maybe
him and
even
a
a bowl.
conduit. Yeah. Just putting it in a bowl is good enough. But picking it up and putting it in a bag is not enough. Like to and then buying it and stuff. So he's not starting
Yeah,
civilizations randomly. So the question is, if he's cooking at a friend's, is he creating those civilizations there?
I don't think so unless he brings along his own utensils.
Okay, so it's
Or maybe
his.
it's all limited and localized to his kitchen alone.
So maybe there's something in the kitchen that's causing it. Kinda like
Um,
Night of the Museum. You have that tomb thing,
yeah.
something like that, but it's in
Um,
the kitchen.
I'm gonna say there's an ancient golden ladle in a
That is
sealed
so funny because my first
case.
thought was ladle. I,
Yeah, ancient golden ladle in a sealed case from China.
or wherever.
Uh,
Yeah, wherever you want it to be from.
is from ancient China, and it's been bedazzled.
Uh,
It It is hidden in the back of a cabinet being covered in spider webs.
but it is the thing that is giving off the magic in the kitchen.
I don't know. That's just what came to my mind. My
I
mind
mean,
is
I
still
think
on
it makes
random
some
stuff.
sense. I think it makes sense that there's like an artifact, and that's another story element that you have access to now. Is a ladle that could be discovered. The guy's like, "What is this?" Throws it away, and suddenly there's no more life being formed, and he's confused and panicked. And then he's so upset about this that he calls upon in the only civilizations that are left, which are the Vikings and the civilization in the wall, to help him.
I mean, the bananas,
Yeah, the
pirates.
banana pirates, and the wall food civilization thing, to help him find the ladle and bring it back. Because that could be interesting. I'm not sure how that story would be written or work. My brain hurts thinking about it, but it could be done.
Yeah, this is a weird one.
It is, but I think we did good here. I think we made it make more sense.
Yeah, I don't know where else we'll really go with this world,
Yeah,
because the only other very strange things I'm not so sure how well we could fit in there are things like the tennis balls and the dog plague that it pulls you
oh
down
my
to the
gosh, I
bottom of the
forgot about the
toaster.
dog. No, the dog plague was too much. That's not here. No, we're removing that. The three things I've decided just aren't working are the tennis balls, the dog plague, and the toasters.
What if the toaster was made? What if the toaster was made out of wood?
That's just weird. And on that note, we're going to be signing off. Hopefully, I enjoy making it make sense a lot. I'm sure you prefer making mayhem, but you know.
I still prefer the narwhal world where they throw
Yeah, the
potatoes
narwhal
at
is
you
good.
that spring to life.
I don't know. I enjoyed both of these episodes still. I do love the narwhal. It has a dear place, and we'll be back in another 6 months with some randomness again. But next week we are doing a Halloween one. I think we have two more. We have two more Sundays. Yes, because we have the 24th and the 31st. So I figured each of us could come up with a Halloween. Wait, one of these is coming out on Halloween. Okay, next week's going to be a normal one. It's going to be a normal, straightforward one. On Halloween, we will have a Halloween special. Because it's Halloween.
I gotta come up with something.
I have an
ghostly,
idea.
Vampire.
No, I have
okay,
an idea.
You're gonna. Okay, so you're gonna do the prompt for the
Yeah,
Halloween
yeah.
one?
I have a really good
Okay.
prompt idea for Halloween, so I'm gonna do that one. You come up with next week's. Next week's can be whatever. If you want to do it kind of spooky Halloween themed, you can. But I have a good one for actual Halloween, which I'm excited about. So stay tuned for those future projects, and then the week afterwards, we have another one of our world building basics. So yeah, lots of things planned. But we're going to be signing off today and not rambling for 12 hours like we normally do at the end of a video. So I'm gonna say goodbye. Isaac, are you also going to say goodbye?
Goodbye, everybody. I've got to go. Gotta leave you all behind and riding moves. Down, down, banana.